I'm not going to do all that.
Edit that.
No, I don't think so. I think this is a
To
great
start
intro.
off with.
G'day and welcome to the Vibe Union podcast, the only anatomically correct podcast. Jason, how are you?
I'm anatomically correct today, thank you.
I think so.
Only
I think
on-
you're
only on
anatomically
Wednesdays.
correct every day.
Only on Wednesdays. Yeah, I'm good. I'm all right.
If you could replace any of your anatomy, what would it be if you replace one thing?
We did talk about this before. You sort of about who you wanted hooves.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well remembered.
Yeah.
I take that back though. I don't want hooves.
Hooves. That's a good question. Can I add a tail instead of taking something away?
Yeah, sure, you can add. I would prefer, yeah.
I take the tailbone out and add a tail.
So a boneless tail? I guess it would be a robot tail.
I don't know.
What's your reasoning?
Just climbing trees. I don't know. But then I guess I need the.
I don't think the tail's going to be the issue. I think it's more like the upper body strength that we probably lack now.
Can I have the tail with the upper body strength of a gorilla?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I think you're really stretching the.
You asked me.
Stretching the game.
Well, what's kind of a gorilla tail?
Do gorillas have tails?
No.
They got tiny little
Yeah, but-
nubbins.
I said what I said.
You want to start us off?
Do gorillas have tails? Please let us know in the comments.
No, they don't. We've already answered the question.
They have nubbins.
I can picture a gorilla so clearly in my mind. It's a skill that I have. Gorilla picture, gorilla vision.
Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge the custodians of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We need to understand and acknowledge that, we are, Ryan and I get to come here and do a podcast and stuff, and we are conducting ourselves, and, on stolen land, on land that where sovereignty has never been ceded and treaties have never been signed, and we are very lucky and privileged to be able to be visitors on this land, and we need to also understand that Australia's the only country in the Commonwealth that hasn't signed a treaty with the First Nations people and Indigenous population, and it seems like it's not going to happen anytime soon. I just want to also acknowledge the First Nations people, or the Palawa people of Lutruwita, which is the First Nations people of Tasmania, who is where I unfortunately grew up.
Jason, I wanted to keep the home and away style drama that we have had on the last podcast, where I dared to have a friend other than yourself.
Oh, okay,
and
yes.
how the drama ensued. There was a dramatic piano music. You were in tears. I was trying to console you. It was a mess.
We were on the beach.
If you,
it was supposed to look like we were going swimming, but it was freezing cold and windy.
and we were both clearly very dry.
It's my favourite part of Home and Away.
If you missed that drama, check out the last episode because it is juicy.
Yeah, I had to be coerced very heavily to come back.
So I hurt you, and I feel bad about that. But now, word has gotten to me, and I can't believe that this is the case. But you have a new producer that isn't me. Devastated.
I'm moving up in the world. Yeah.
I mean, actually, I can.
Evolving.
I can get behind that.
Evolving. Yes, I do. Yes.
And they are a seasoned producer.
Yes,
They are.
have a lot of fancy gear.
Yes, a lot of fancy gear.
Before we dive into this, I don't know anything about the producing side of things, so I am going to say he's got fancy, shiny machines.
I probably wouldn't know all that much either.
I think you'd look at there's things, and he was like, I got this from New Zealand. It's usually $5,000. Like professionals use it, and he's like, I got it cheaper and stuff. And he's like, you can record drums on these or something, and I don't know, like some.
That's super vague.
That's what I'm saying. That he was more detailed about it.
Yeah.
But he was like, this is like the top. This is the top end.
Yeah.
Thing. Top end stuff.
Great.
See, look, I'm music boy.
Well, then that should be interesting because if I was to go to a I guess people who watch this podcast probably know that, I'm a producer and you are a
Yes.
lyricist and a rapper, and but you don't know anything about gear, clearly.
Fuck no. That's what I told Jacob. He was just I was
Yeah.
like because he was doing the editing, like doing stuff. He's like, oh, I can just add this, and I was like, that's witchcraft.
Yeah.
Even with it, when like I was like, oh, I've asked you with your song, Lyrebird Days on your latest
Out
album
now in
EP?
Dimmicks and JB Hi-Fi.
EP or the album? I can't remember.
You're on the album.
Album.
Yeah. But there is an EP as well.
Yes.
You can find it
Liminal.
at Video Easy and
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Yeah. And you gave me a version that wasn't finished yet.
Yeah.
And I listened to it and I was like, oh, I sound like I was just shock
Yeah.
horror. I'm very loud, and hence why the microphone is lower down. I got
It
scolded.
only
a
took
few-
me 84 episodes to
I
figure
know,
that
I did
out.
last time as well.
Yeah.
Whereas anyway, and I listened to it and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, do you want me to come back and record a little bit?
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, I just leave them. And then I actually heard it. I'm like, oh, you can actually make people sound good. Which I forgot because I was like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course, like, yeah.
That's actually it's a thing that I really feel very fortunate for, and I think it's a good reason for as many people to try and get to wrap their head around as much mixing and production stuff as possible. So if you can do it yourself, not because necessarily that you will learn to do it as well as a professional that is again seasoned or paid for it really has as a career, but being able to listen to my material, going through all of my effects chains immediately, like as I'm recording, I can hear things much, almost, like maybe say there's 70% there to the final product. It enables you to get a much clearer picture of what is actually possible and what your voice actually sounds like, rather than listening through a raw microphone can be a bit rough at times.
Oh yeah, totally. Like, I had a session on Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday. That's yesterday. And it was just I listened to it and I was like, oh, this. I mean, it was on beat, in beat, whatever. See, I didn't even know that. In time. There we go. I've got an EP too. So I was listening back. I'm like, oh, that's and then it was like, oh, just do this, maybe add this, do this. Bang, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's I was like, oh, that's because it was far. Like my voice hasn't been changed much at all. Like bit of reverb here, and then like at the end of a bar, there'd be like some echo, or whatever. Like effects are the words. Oh, look at me, knowing shit. That's going to be the ongoing joke for the whole thing.
Yes.
So we did all that, and the point I'm making is, I forgot now.
The secret sauce.
Secret sauce. That's the name of my album.
Getting to, I don't know. I find the doing that, like actually getting to hear, and if you're fortunate to have a situation where you can record with a producer and have all those effects and stuff and have it sound great, it's so important to hear it so you get your confidence up about what you can actually capable of. And I think that's why, even when making beats and stuff like that for myself, I start, when I open Ableton, it opens up with my template, which has all my effects chains, my bus chains, my master chains, and everything is ready to go. And so when I'm dropping shit in, it already sounds, again, like kind of 70% there, rather than you're making something and you're sort of imagining, I think this will sound good later. Otherwise, your confidence can just be dipping because it's like, I like the idea, but the sound is shit. So it's hard to push through.
I think that's I think I was trying to make. Whatever. I'll make this point now.
Make a different point.
Okay, cool. Gorillas. No. So I heard like the rough kind of thing, and then it was. I'm like, oh, that sounds a bit like sort of thing, and then he's like, okay, and he's muted he just cut a word out and it's mixed like.
Oh, interesting.
Just cut a word out. I'm like, without telling me, because I'm like, hang on, and he's just doing severe ADHD brain going on, just banging. He's like, oh, I've done this, and I listened to it. I'm like, that sounds so much better. He's like, yeah, I just took out the word the at the start of a thing, and it was one syllable less, and it works. It's still in time, but it just sounds less like rushed or whatever. I'm like, oh, I forgot I even said that word because I was listening to it. I was like, oh, that sounds good. Yeah, even little things like that, I go, is that possible? I feel like a 7-year-old that is getting their grandkid to show them how to send an email.
Yeah.
Like, it sends, how does that work? I'm just like, okay. But what do you want? I don't know what I want. I'm like, what do you want? I don't just make it sound pretty.
Yeah.
And then we go through, so what about this? I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. But then I'm cautious, like, I don't want to slap too much glitter on it, otherwise it's going to be covered in
glitter.
Too much glitter.
Terrible analogy.
Well, you want to, kids are trying to make like I don't know, like a picture frame and make it look nice. They just stick a bunch of macaroni pasta stuff and shells. And like, look what I did, and they have to pretend it looks nice.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of.
It is the thought that I had when you mentioned just like his chain, and I've not seen like his effects chains that he's putting on vocals, but I am intrigued to go and see this because I've definitely gone through phases of like usually most producers I think when they start, or mixing engineers or what have you, when they start, there's that moment of I have all these tools at my disposal, and this applies not only to music, but I think for any medium. You get excited and you have all the tools, and you think you know how many things you're supposed to be using because the YouTube tutorial told you so, or what have you, right? And so you just end up throwing all this stuff on because like that's how the pros do it, without actually understanding what the pros are doing with it. And now, like 10 years later, or maybe 12 years later from my start as a producer, now I've stripped my chains way down and I have way less stuff because they are all doing very particular things and no more than that. And I don't need to add a bunch of sauce. However, then there's the next level, I think, where he has a much more highly trained ear that is, those tools are more scalpel-esque rather than
I'm noticing that
I'm wielding.
There was a part in the song yesterday, part of it, and he's kept just going over it, and I'm like, what? He's like, oh, there's something there that's not right. I'm like, it sounds right to me.
Yeah.
And they changed something. It still sounds the same to me.
But he goes,
he was like, no, he's like, oh, yeah. And then he's like, no, here's what it is, sound like. And then he goes, here's a bit straight after. And it was like a slot. I can't even remember. It was just, it wasn't offbeat or anything. It was just like, I think it was an S word, and there was a kind of a tiny little pop or something, like, the S's and P's and stuff sometimes do that. There was a tiny little bit of, a tiny there or something. And he's like, he goes, that's what it is. And he just tweaked it. And I'm like, I had to kind of listen like 3 times, and I'm like, oh, now, okay, no. It was just tiny little things like that. I go, well, it sounds all good.
They're worth, I guess if you have the time, worth taking out, for sure. But it's something that Kelsey and I have talked about a lot. Kelsey being the
7'6",
7'6" of folk.
Pure folk music, yeah.
Dusty Sessions MC, runner, and my delightful partner. But we were talking about, she's got a great ear for mouth sounds. Anytime you get any of that in a recording, and it's unfortunate when you start getting used to listening out for it.
That's a really shitty superhero power. I hear mouth sounds.
It's a curse, not a power, because once you can hear
it's like a misfit power. You know that show Misfits?
Yeah.
It's like that power. It's like, anyway.
And she really drew my attention to it. And then I was listening to, who's the MC that you introduced me to? Sarrock.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening to Sarrock's album, her last album, and I absolutely adore that album. So fucking good. Amazing lyricist. I was listening through it and going, oh, there's a lot of mouth sounds still left in this. There's also a lot of breaths, a lot of just rap, which I'm fucking terrible at doing. I take very harsh breaths. That's funny when you
surprised about. I've never heard. Oh, I don't know. I don't.
No, that's actually my point. Though that 90% of people, maybe 99% of people, do not hear that stuff. But when that is your job, when you're listening out for that kind of shit, and I do a lot of like taking that stuff out.
But like even when you performed it, like, does it go? Because I think I've done like. I've been terrible at when I first started.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't been doing it long. I haven't performed for a long time. But like when I was trying to like, I'm like, oh, I've got 2 more bars left and I've got nothing left in my lungs. And I'm like, I have to just kind of like, well, I'm going to have to skip the first 2 words and just do a cheeky like, and then get on with it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no one knows my songs anyway, so I can get away with it.
Totally.
And I'm like,
I just don't say the whole line. I'll just skip the first part of the line so I can take a breath and then finish the line.
yeah,
No one
I think
fucking knows.
it's easy for me now, but when I first started, I'm like, I got to just skip a line 'cause I got to breathe.
Yeah. It's definitely difficult writing in parts and then also recording in parts and then doing it all live if you're not doing it all the time.
Well, I noticed yesterday I was recording a part and then there was one bar and I was like, the last line I was like, you know, when you last bit of breath, he's like, and I'm like, and I heard the recording about it. You can kind of hear me just talking, rapping normally, and then the last little bit, he's like,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, I just took the first word away, and it still made sense. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I've got all my breath that I need.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
just that. But in my head, I'm like, no, I've written this, it's fine. And then I'm like, what? I'm like, why? No, it's more breath control. I'm like, just take 3 letters out. You don't need the word "but" sometimes. And I'm like, cool.
I think you need a lot. I think you can take out a lot, and the listener still understands.
Yeah,
what
and I'm
the
like,
fuck you're
okay,
saying.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm like, oh, maybe the listeners want to actually hear what I'm saying instead of just doing it. I don't know. But then everyone's like, no, don't do music. Just do music for yourself. I'm like, well, if no one can, and I'm like, if no one can understand it, no one's going to listen to it. I'm like, well, actually, there's a whole conversation there.
There is a whole conversation there.
It's
I'm
about vibe, not the lyrics,
tempted.
but you know, it's each to their own. Some music isn't made for some people. Everyone likes what they like. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the argument.
But it should be driven by what you want to make. But yeah, it's a whole other fucking thing.
Well, that's what a conversation is, right?
We can't go on tangents.
We can't. That's what we do. That's what the 6 people listened for and watched for.
I got thanked by someone the other day when I was on another podcast, and they said, "I'm really glad you were on that podcast because you kept the conversation on topic." Which that's
not this podcast.
That's a different podcast.
I'm not on that podcast.
No, you're not.
Have you met me?
We're allowed to do other things outside of this podcast.
Well, we had a topic and we've talked to that topic. We can always circle back to it at some point. We could circle back to it right now if you like. In the worst segue ever.
I wanted to ask, going from an amateur producer, being myself, to a professional producer who has had much more experience working with the other artists. Is there anything that jumps out at you in terms of how they communicate and push you through the recording process?
I think the one of the main takes I've taken away from the take that I did, is I was prepared, rehearsed. Obviously, I wasn't perfect because it's recording. You can we do 6 recordings of each thing. And I did a bit different to what we normally did. It doesn't really matter, but I was like, let's try something different, whatever. It was because I feel like because I was rehearsed and ready to go, which is that's just the anxiety as well, you know, like I'm like, well, I don't want to waste anyone's time, but also I want to get in there and get stuff done.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to be like, oh, yeah, I need a 4th bar for this thing here. I'm like, then they're sitting there going, oh, maybe this, blah, blah, blah. It was like, got in there. It was like, do you want to sit or stand? I'm like, I might as well just sit. It's fine. It's not that big. It's not that big of a hype thing, so I don't really need it. Whatever. And then, basically did it. Changed a little bit. I realised I copy and paste from the wrong document, and I had to get rid of a couple of words because it was hence what I was talking about before, and that was really about it. And I was like, oh, I fucked that line up. And he's like, no, it's fine. It's all good. And I'm like, oh no, I'm like, it's all good. Same as I'm like, oh, fuck that up, and then that hurt. I commit. No, but and so I think the answer to the question is that he mentioned something. He's like, oh, it's really nice having someone in that's prepared, rehearsed. I can tell you've rehearsed. I can tell you've done that. But not like we're here. We're just kind of like two guys sitting in a studio 5 feet away. 5 feet apart. Yeah.
I guess it is a bit different than say. I mean, there's money going towards him, but like it's different to paying thousands of dollars per hour for studio time in a world-class studio that like we have to get this take right now.
I'm kind of lucky with the situation. I am.
But I still think like going in super fucking prepared.
Oh yeah, I think it
is-
streamlines things because you get the recording done within. And I don't know. I don't know the timeline. I was there for a few hours. I think I was there 5 hours ish.
Yeah.
You get in. Oh, excuse me. Record within an hour. Depends on how long the song is, I suppose, and how many takes you want. And then after that, it was 4 hours
That's so quick.
It was all 4 hours of tweaking.
Yeah.
We have a break.
Yeah.
He had homemade pizza in the fridge that he cooked.
Fantastic.
Had some coffee,
Yeah.
Sure. But the other thing is that because we're in his studio, we recorded,
Yeah.
and he's in a small studio, but then his aircon wasn't working. And yesterday it was 37 degrees or whatever,
Christ.
and it was just two sweaty men in a studio. And he's like, "All right, no." So we got the recording, and he has I don't know, a small thing that you can use. And he goes, you can do professional stuff on this alone. The small, whatever I can't remember what it's called. It's a small, looked like an interface, but something different.
Okay.
And so we just took all the stuff into his dining room and
Right.
set it all up. But I was plugged into all his big shit.
Yeah.
And then he goes, all this stuff just just makes it better for
Yeah.
recording. But he goes, we've done the recording now. All I need is this thing,
Yeah.
and I can still do professional standard on this. And he goes, because he said when he was in Europe.
Yeah.
He took that with him, and he did some recordings for some people and artists and whatnot, and he used that, and that's what he used. I can't remember. I can't remember what it's called. It's this thing. It looks just square.
Okay.
You plug things in, and it had volume stuff on it. You can use to record, and all he needed was that, his laptop.
Yeah.
We had the speakers so we could listen to it. Obviously, that's what speakers are for. And I know the terms, and except for the square thing.
Yeah.
I might have to get him to write shit down. But yeah, that was so. He had all the fancy stuff in the proper studio, and then the aircon wasn't working properly.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, fuck this, let's go into the."
Yeah.
And then he just obviously I didn't need to record anymore. But yeah, I think that the streamlining of stuff was something that I think. I mean, when we recorded it, I had it basically sorted anyway.
Yeah.
I think it was just he had so much more. He had more programs, more he's got so many more. He's like, he's got a Charlie Tuna sample. It's like you subscribe to it, and it's a Charlie Tuna saying saying lines, and you can just add like him saying 4 lines without music. It's just him going. It's got
Who's Charlie Tuna?
Jurassic 5, really deep baritone voice.
Okay.
You know if you heard him.
Yeah. And you wait. You type in what you want it to say, and
no. So you just go. You've got sample packs.
Yeah.
He's got his own.
Gotcha.
Charlie Tuna has his own specific one that you can subscribe to, and so he's got it just for the sake of it.
That's fucking great.
That's not that's not the best professional, but he had. He's got so many more programs, so much more stuff because that's more what he's been doing this for a lot, long, and that's kind of.
But it is interesting, going from that into we've got all this, but we actually only need this. And then same with what we've put together. And my attitude in general has always been like, all these things would be really nice. These things would be so lovely. But there's diminishing returns, like going from a $100 microphone to a $500 microphone, massive fucking jump. $500 to $1,000, not as big of a jump. $1,000 to $10,000 microphone, not as big of a jump in my opinion.
So it's initial first.
I think so. I mean, obviously, those, there's still massive jumps within the right setting. Like if you've got a $2,000 microphone in a professional studio,
if you're really tweaking,
you're
really wanting to a certain thing, I can see that.
But if you're still recording in your bedroom, and I've had this conversation with people who are like, what should I kind of upgrade next? I'm like, well, what's your current setup? I'm like, well, I really want to, I want to buy this next $1,000 microphone. I'm like, are you still in your bedroom? Yeah. Well,
$150, $200.
I wouldn't recommend $1,000 on a microphone. I would recommend, $500 on a microphone is great. Mine costs, $450, $500, and I fucking adore it. But I think past that point, buy some plugins, but even then, there's free shit. I don't know. Diminishing returns within those settings.
Yes.
That's a point.
I can't. Buy good stuff, but not as good stuff. I remember I think it was Brother Ali was talking about it. He goes, I can't remember. Once again, this was a couple of years ago. I can't remember what type of mic. But he's like, get yourself. I think it was a mic about $150 US.
Yeah.
So whatever that is.
Yeah.
About like $600 Australian. It's a joke. But yeah,
Yeah, economy's in the toilet.
$150, $200 mic.
Yeah.
And he goes, I think it's more talking about recording, performing.
Live. Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's also, but I'm assuming it does record. Microphones do record as well.
Yes,
I've
they
heard
do.
that. I've
Yes,
heard they do that too.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, that's really what you need.
Yeah.
That's all you really, really need. And then he goes, what if you get famous and you got money, then you're not really worrying about. If you're earning thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're not really worried about how much you're spending on the mic.
Yeah.
You know.
The one thing I will say though about going to more like real studio setups and sessions is the level of focus. Is going into a place where there are professionals who their career is doing this thing, and you are there to do a thing, and you have to. Yeah, you probably should have rehearsed all your shit. You're on the fucking clock. You might be spending a bunch of fucking money. Compared to recording in a bedroom, which I guess has its own vibe as well. Because
I think yeah, if you could do it right, if you got the right stuff. I mean, we've talked about it before. My catchphrase is like Juice WRLD when it came to when he's released stuff. It was just SoundCloud, do the best you can, and then people are like, oh, okay, I fuck with this, and then everyone's like, oh, okay. And I was like, he just did the best he can with what he had, and he was the one lucky enough that it got picked up. Yeah, because like everyone's putting music up.
Yeah.
Big
it's also very much like it was the vibe, it was the sound, it was that DIY sound.
And I think people you can get the funniest thing yesterday I saw was we did the studio session. We had all the whatever he uses Logic. I know that much. And then he saved it and then he put it into Audacity.
Oh really?
To save because he just needed to save it. He goes, he just put it. He just got it. Audacity is a free thing that I use at home. Like it's a free thing. It's very basic.
Any Windows user who has ever wanted to edit audio has used Audacity.
It's free. And I was like, why the fuck? He's like, oh, it's just you put in here and then you export it and it just works. It just seems to be easier. I can't remember if it's just because his laptop or something.
Is that like converting it to an MP3?
I think
perhaps?
maybe it was just so funny. I'm like, you can do all this stuff, but you just have to put it in Audacity first.
I was shocked about that. That's actually
I just find it funny,
Ableton now, I think for the past 2 versions, can export MP3s. Yeah, it can't export just an MP3. It exports a WAV file and then converts it to an MP3. You just click a button and it does it. And I always have that set because I always need an MP3 to send to somebody. Because in 90% of situations, I don't need the highest quality files. But it does fucking shock me that most professional audio software still does not, or at least has only recently.
Well, it feels like we're too good for MP3s. So,
totally. 100%.
It's like iPhones. We're too good to have a headphone jack. So,
oh man, that's actually I think I think there is a gap kept on purpose, which is why I like Ableton. I feel like Ableton is still kind of pricey, but it's like it always had this DIY vibe to it, as well as a high-end audio software. Though it's also not regarded necessarily as the best high-quality audio in terms of mixing engineers. Dedicated mixing engineers would turn to things like Pro Tools. Maybe Logic's getting up there.
Yes,
but I feel like it's. There is a reluctance to acknowledge that you can do things
in
Bandcamp and then upload it to SoundCloud, and it might become the most popular song that fucking year.
Kind of reminds me, I don't know if this is the same equivalent, but was it League of Legends? Yeah. Was a
Warcraft 3 mod.
Warcraft 3 mod, and then it became like the most popular game in the world, and they made billions and billions of dollars of it. And so when they released World of Warcraft Remastered or whatever, which was a failure. Yeah. They said any mod that you make belongs to Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, is because they were too scared of another League of Legends situation. So if someone made League of Legends 2 or something like whatever, and they were like, well, we own it, so therefore we can earn, even though they earn billions of dollars already.
Because League of Legends.
It's a top-down lane.
No, League of Legends. So is it similar to Dota?
Yeah.
Is Dota? That's a separate map though. Originally, that was another mod, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. Write in the comments. I've never played either.
It's not my style of game.
Well, one of the two. I think it's League of Legends was the
First one.
Was the mod, and then maybe
I think they
maybe
both
then
start as Warcraft 3
okay.
mods.
Well, okay. I don't know.
Yeah. But
We're not nerds.
Absolutely.
No, we're not nerds.
I absolutely am, and I dedicated hundreds and hundreds of hours to Warcraft 3. I'm just not much of a multiplayer kind of guy.
Yeah, no, not a team player.
I don't want to sit down to switch my brain off after a long day of not doing a lot, and then think, oh yeah, I'm going to do that by socializing with human beings.
I might get on a team with a really annoying player that yells at you because you're not playing to the high standard of an amateur person that wants to chill for a game.
Yeah.
I'm like, mate, you've just worked all day too. Where you're not.
I guess they're taking their frustrations out rather than like trying to switch off and enter a fantasy world where all your dreams can come true, where you don't have to think about.
Yeah, true, but then like people
bills, laundry.
Yeah, I think I only ever played online multiplayer at a friend's house.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that because by playing really bad, I ruined his ranking. I can't remember what score it was. Mm-hmm. So he spent months like getting to a really high rank, and I just lost everything, and he just plummeted. And I just kept talking to people I was what they would call a troll.
Oh dear, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. I just talk shit, and then I'm like, "Hello, everyone, how are you doing?" And then I was really shit because I still didn't know how to dual control shooters at all much back in the day.
Right. Picture.
Because I was a Nintendo boy and played GoldenEye and I didn't have anyway. Yeah. The point of that was just gaming, online gaming. That's it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about I want to because I really fuck with that topic of the achieving a lot with the starter tool set.
That's a good way to bring it back. There we go. I was wondering how we're going to do it.
Because I feel like that's the being the main fear of big industry over the past 10, 20 years has been the fear of oh God, we've spent all this time learning how to market music to the masses, and now TikTok exists and we don't know how to compete.
I think it's now starting to come into the forefront of the fact that look at Spotify. We've talked. This has been mentioned before. Spotify, you don't earn fuck all on Spotify, and you have to be a Taylor Swift to earn money. Yeah. And so a bunch of people are moving away from record labels because they take everything, and
there's zero fucking point. That's huge.
If I'm going to upload music and not get paid, I might as well do it on my own on Spotify. And not do it through a label. Yeah. I know obviously a lot of smaller people that music isn't their full-time job are doing it, and it's a sort of. Some people are more louder about it than others. Well, yes, everyone's doing the same thing anyway. But I think record labels now are a bit scared because it's sort of.
Well, because even thinking about if you're, I understand the point of a record label, like a small record label, if you're an artist who doesn't want to do all the stuff, and I feel like my brain works well in that space of I like recording the music, mixing, mastering, doing the artwork, and then putting it out, uploading it, adding the lyrics, making the social media content, posting all that shit. It has not fucking worked, but in terms of building a following, but at least I enjoy all that stuff. I can do it all. Yeah. Well, I know a lot of artists will look at all that and go, "Oh my God, I just want to make songs. I just want to make songs, and that's all I want to do." I'm like, yeah, sweet, that makes sense. So that's why you would sign to a label. But then at the same time...
I see the reason about signing with a label. It's just... You hear all the horror stories about...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't fucking... Especially major labels, and there's no reason to trust them. But I am interested in the idea that maybe I think a lot of the audience doesn't want that style of hey, here's the new hype artist and you should check them out, and their faces are on billboards and they're playing stadiums and everything is super fucking polished and all that stuff, right? And I think that you and I see this stuff on Instagram and we kind of cringe. I find it really cringy is kind of my point. Whereas as much as I find TikTok really cringy, overall as a platform, the style of the content, there's an authenticity to the fact that it's at least the person who made the artwork is putting up themselves and going, "Hey, I made a thing. Hope you like it." And then moving on.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because it's really easy to shit on that stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not.
I definitely have.
Yeah, I said in this new 2024, trying to be a new person. it's a sort of
Sure.
like, yeah, trying. Emphasis on trying. T-R-Y-ing. And
Just like, using optimism.
yeah, that's it. Positivity, you know.
Positivity.
It's there. Trying to sleep in. But yeah, I've watched videos too about these videos don't come up on my algorithm, but then we're on Vibe Union's TikTok. Go follow that, and so the algorithm is fucked because there'll be like two videos of conspiracy theories.
Oh, really?
And then it will be because I don't use it much other than upload.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what? And I'm like, okay, or even our Instagram account sometimes it'd be and it'll be like, oh, then how to make it in the industry, like. How to post stuff, which is stuff that obviously you and I watch sometimes, just to be interested. And then just the TikTok, it's really funny because it will go from what are they hiding in Antarctica to like five top tips to get more Instagram followers and that kind of thing. And I'm like, this is just, it's funny. But yeah, so the point I'm making is, seeing YouTube videos about how there's certain channels or YouTube TikTok accounts that they're singing in the kitchen, but it's so heavily auto-tuned already. And they're like, oh look, we just sit in the kitchen beside the sink, and all the comments are like, oh, that's amazing. You guys are and I'm like, well, yeah, it is. It's stupid, but I think it's do that, that's fine. But if you're marketing that as, oh, we just sat down and had a sing, we're just chilling in the kitchen. Like you're marketing that and not sort of saying that we used auto-tune or whatever, because they got the waveform and it's like perfect. Yeah. Their voice is perfect. And they're like, it's sort of not quite what the aesthetics is. Chilling in the kitchen or wherever, and then the sound is
it's definitely a pet peeve of mine.
Absolutely perfect. You know,
as a quote unquote audio engineer, is seeing videos where it's like, here I am talking on my iPhone, and then it's like, no, there's no fucking way that audio is coming from that iPhone. Impossible. Way too fucking crispy. But yeah, I mean, like, definitely, like, marketing firms, like, that's what they fucking want to do. They want to achieve that.
I do like seeing
grimy.
I do like seeing them trying
take.
To, like, I do like corporations trying to, like, let's look at algorithms and see what's there, and then trying to put that in ads. I can't think of an example right now.
2 months or 6 months after the trend has ended.
It's that meme of what's his name? I was going to say Gary Busey. It's not him. Hello, fellow school children.
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. Was it Hello, fellow kids? Hello, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm too old to know what a meme is. So, that's what kind of thing corporations are. It's like, hello, fellow children, and then
do you think people are getting better at? I mean, they always have been. I don't know. Yeah. Do you think people are getting better at telling the fucking difference, or is it just? I mean, this is. I think something that should be studied, not just
I think it might come down to generational stuff. Yeah. Because if you look at like us 18-year-olds on Spotify, if those listen on Spotify, we're definitely 18.
We're getting too old for the music industry.
But like we've seen a ton of different stuff.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have TikTok when we were young. No. Sort of thing. So it's
we had dial-up. We still had dial-up internet.
I kind of want to have a song with the remix, the dial-up song. Yeah. I'm sure someone already has. Someone's done the old Nokia
almost
theme
certainly,
song.
Almost certainly.
Who was it?
No idea.
Someone remixed the ABC News song.
Nice.
Primus?
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 Did Primus?
No, not Primus. No, it's not.
There's no way Primus did the ABC News song.
I am listening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably to the point now where I hate to agree, but we are too old to know.
Pendulum.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was ages ago. I knew it started with a P, and I said Primus. I'm like, that's definitely not Primus.
It's definitely not Primus.
Pendulum. Pendulum.
Yeah, I think it's to the point where we're definitely too old. I mean, even like watching TikTok content now is just. Yeah, I don't want to hate on it because it's just a platform, but there's a style of it. There's a style to the content that I'm just like, I can't watch this. It's really, I find it really cringy.
To its credit, like, there has been some stuff every now and then.
Yeah.
on because it's not, you got to scroll through the bullshit sometimes, and then it's just like here are top 5 Japanese rappers you never heard of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and then like here's my Spotify playlist, and I'll go to it, and then I was like, one of the songs was in my Spotify rap for the year.
Yeah, nice.
And I can't tell you what the name of the song is just because of all the Japanese characters.
Sure.
And I listened to it for a month, and I listened to it that much. It was top 4.
Yeah.
5. It was in top 5, but it was 4.
Yeah. I have some. Yeah, you're
Sometimes,
right.
very rarely it happens, but then
Yeah.
Spotify you can. There's that little AI DJ you can press, and it goes, here's songs.
Not tried that.
I was. In
What's the fucking difference between that and a radio?
There's no ads, or if you pay for.
So what's the difference between that and a radio?
The DJ will, so basically they'll play in 5-song blocks, and then a DJ that sounds a bit like an AI Jay-Z will be like, that was, and then let's basically.
Oh, it talks to you?
Yeah, and it goes, that was No Children by Mountain Goats, and then it goes. He says, I was on the way home from your birthday. I was in the car with Dilly, and he was using it, and it goes, okay, now these songs coming up should remind you of your high school days. And then it will play some stuff from whatever. And I'm like, I haven't heard it. And you just skip. And then it plays about 5 songs.
I was
and then he
trying to not sound older than I wanted to. But my God, that sounds awful.
It just goes, I mean, it goes. Well,
shit.
I found some music on that.
Yeah.
That's how I found that Aesop Rock had a group for.
But to have it talk to you, I find
it's
so
AI.
unappealing.
It doesn't go, hello, Jason, how are you? I know where you live. Like, it's not, it just goes...
Does they?
It's got my location, but...
yeah.
But I think it's just more like, on your algorithm, like, that's what cookies are on the internet kind of thing. It's sort of just everything...
No, I know. It's.
I mean, they're looking at you through your camera and your laptop anyway. So.
And I use the radio all the time, which is essentially the same, but it doesn't talk to me. So I guess, what the fuck do I know? But like, there's something.
What's one more voice? What's one more voice?
I've got enough in my head, mate. I don't know.
Do you have voices? Comment below. Do you have voices? Comment below.
Look, I don't know. I don't really have a way to wrap this up or a point that I want to make about authenticity or anything like that. But
just be authentic or don't. It's up to you.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't want to see cringe. I don't want to see.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff on Instagram and whatnot. It doesn't really matter where I see it. And you just like people are like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever. I'm just going to release whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just hearing. I'm like, oh, this is early 2000s cringy lyric stuff, and I'm like, you do you, kind of. I don't know where I was going with that.
If you find your audience,
having beef with people.
This is going to be the biggest just peter out of the podcast.
Yeah. Music by Sixpence.
music by Sixpence. Do we have anything coming up? Tones is coming back. We've already spoken about it recently, but like it's going to be announced the day after this podcast, so we can talk about it now. That like
on the 15th,
16th. Tones is
what? The day after today.
Oh no, but Tones is March 16th.
Yeah, but I was talking about when it's going to be the announcement.
Tones
Fucking
March
hell.
16th is coming, and it's going to be a Ringo bar, and it's a live recording session. We're showcasing some
video recording,
incredible artists, truly like highest caliber
and Rhath. There we go.
So
I cut him off there. I knew where he was going with that. When we say recording, like we're going to record it video wise, so feel free to come and it's a gig. Yeah, it's a gig.
We want to do Tiny Desk, but here in Melbourne.
They stole our idea.
Like 13 years ago.
We had Anderson Paak on first.
Yeah,
I
true.
think that was the first person I thought, but anyway.
It's a great one.
Yeah, it's true.
Good example.
We're going to have, who are they? Tricolor Studios.
Yep.
They're going to be recorded, video recording.
Yeah.
So come and watch and stuff. It'd be fun.
It's going to be great. March 16th, free entry.
What's happening? What's happening? This comes out on what, Tuesday?
Comes out on Tuesday.
What's happening the day after this comes out?
Wednesday,
21st.
21st is our second Pulse of Palestine at
Grace
Darling Hotel.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this one's we've got some fucking amazing features, and it feels so good to have this community support behind this one. So it's gonna be we're not front and center. We are behind.
I do 30 seconds of
Come and see
housekeeping.
Come and
at the
see some
start.
amazing poetry and donate what you can to help.
Spend 20 bucks.
Bucks get a free book.
You get it's technically a free book. Good book, buy book. It's a poetry book.
All right.
I think that's about it. Gorillas, tails or no tails, let us know.
They're no
Music
tails.
by Sixpence.
They ain't got that.
There you go, fucking tails, bro.
They ain't got fucking tails.